Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Patty from ultraslowrunner.com. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the competitive aspect of not just running, but athletics in general. And I have my good friend Megan here, who is a bikini competitor, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that. But she's going to share a lot of her insights into what goes into being competitive and what are the elements and the importance of being competitive in whatever you want to do, no matter what it is. I know a lot of you, it is a new year, it's 2020 now, and you've probably set a lot of your 2020 goals. And so congratulations on setting those goals, and we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully so far it's still going well. I do want to start by kind of explaining, some of you might be wondering, Patty, you're a back of the pack runner, and I know probably my subscribers might be back of the pack runners. What do you mean, competing, and what's all this, competitive stuff? And I do want to say that as a back of the pack runner, and a lot of you probably know that there's another competitor in the race that may not be another runner, but we are often what we call chasing cutoff times. And so the clock really is your competitor. So a lot of the stuff Megan will talk about today, I think you can take those elements and relate them to your race, whether you're at the back of the pack or the front of the pack trying to win the race. So keep that in mind, that just because you're at the back of the pack doesn't mean you're still not competing. I know a lot of people might be going for an age group win, or even, I know for me, oftentimes I'm racing myself basically because I'm trying to get a PR. And a lot of the things Megan and I have talked about before, I see a lot of what she's talking about in my own racing, even though obviously I'm far from winning the race. So I'm going to open it up to Megan and let her kind of talk about her sport and kind of where she came from, and not where you were born, but I'm going to give the floor to her and let her talk here.
Awesome, thank you. So my name is Megan. Like Patty said, I am a competitive bikini competitor. I compete in bodybuilding, and for women, there's actually 5 divisions. Bikini is what we like to call the least muscular of the 5. Most people are familiar with the traditional bodybuilders. They're big and almost puffy looking. And in my division, we are judged on our symmetry, our physique balance. We also are presenting ourselves on stage, and so it comes with a lot of grace and posing practice. But it's really a balance of your physique in general, and that's kind of the foundation of bodybuilding in itself. So I have been competing since 2013. I'm going into my 7th year. I spent 2018 actually nationally ranked in the top 5 of my height class for the entire year, so that was an exciting year. And then took a lot of 2019 off to rest my body and to travel and do all of those things. But I've always been a competitive person, and I laugh because a lot of the activities I did when I was younger were not competitive activities. I started doing ballet at the age of 4 and still found myself kind of similar to running, competing against myself, really wanting to be the best in my class, being the one that got selected to do solos and things like that. I danced with the Eugene Ballet Company, which is a professional ballet company here in the state of Oregon, for a couple performances, and was dancing all the way through college. Meanwhile, also picking up softball, which is obviously very competitive, and played that year-round, starting at the age of 12, all the way through high school and a little bit into college as well. And then after college, I really stopped doing any sort of activity, and I found myself really lost for a couple years, trying to find that spark and that edge. And 10 years ago in 2010, I had the opportunity to watch my brother compete in his first bodybuilding competition. And there was just something about the sport, the dedication, obviously the high level of competitiveness that you have to compete. It's a very elite sport. It's a very hard sport because it not only requires an excessive amount of training, but also a very high level of dedication and diligence to your nutrition and what you eat. And it just kind of stayed in my head for a little while, and then finally I got closer personally to being able to take on that goal, and started prepping for my first show in January of 2013. And here we are.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of leads into my first question, and this relates to a lot of people, and probably right now if you're starting on your 2020 goals, and that is actually staying focused and staying motivated. Even my short time of bodybuilding, I remember, and it's the same with running, training for a big race. It takes a lot of focus, and you have to have that motivation to continue with your training on your way to, for Megan it would be show day, for me it would be race day. So my question for you is, how do you stay focused and maintain motivation? Because like you said, your sport is very hard. It takes months. I think your preps are how long? They're
anywhere from 3 to 4 months.
And then
once you start competing, obviously you are continuing in a prepped state, a dieted down state, a depleted state oftentimes. And so, for example, 2018, I began prep in January. My last show of the year was in November. So 11 months of hard work and dedication.
Unlike some of us runners, we finish our race and then that's it. Then we just chill out for the rest of the year. So how would you suggest people stay focused and motivated on their goals?
I think the first thing for me in any goal that I've set is I'm really passionate about my goals within whatever activity or sport that I'm doing. I'm sure similar to running, there's just something that lights your fire. You feel it in your soul. There's something that connects you to it. So that is the foundation on the days where I'm hungry and I'm tired and I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go train and do my cardio. That's what's kind of pushing me through to say, man, if you don't do this workout, if you don't go give it your all today, and your all might be only 80% of the best day possible, right? But I'm going to give that all today, then that's one day that you don't get back. And a lot of the times it's kind of cliche in the bodybuilding world, we say that dedication takes over when motivation is failing, and it is really the habits that I have built. My body is accustomed to getting up and training and getting that stuff in. It's much easier for me to say no, I bring in my own food, than it is to maybe indulge sometimes. It's easier. It's hard to do that other stuff sometimes, or as people say, be normal. But those are the things, and the habits that you create, the longer that you do them, they just become kind of second nature. And so there are times when you have to kind of give yourself a pep talk and sit yourself down and remember your why, remember how much you love what you do, and use the show day, the race day, as that, like, well, if I just get there, if I just get there, and every day you do that is a step closer. So, and you're going to have good days and bad. There's days when I just don't want to. But again, I remember, okay, I don't get this day back. So do I gain something by sitting it out, or do I gain something by at least giving the little bit of my all that I have today in it? Yeah.
We do that in running too. Even if you're struggling with motivation to get out the door, we often tell ourselves, just go for a mile.
Yep.
And I almost guarantee you, if you get that mile in, your body's warmed up, you're ready to go, you start remembering why you're doing this, and think about how close your race time is, and then I guarantee you're going to go more than a mile and probably reach your mile goal for the day. So similar, we just kind of have to get ourselves out the door, push it for a little while, and then all the pieces start coming together. So like I said at the beginning, a lot of us back at the Packers aren't really running to win the race. My days of winning races have long gone. And my purpose for running races has changed quite a bit. And but still, I think it's important to maintain kind of a competitive mindset, again, because I'm racing the clock most of the time. Because if you don't make cutoff times, your race is over, and that you put in all that time and effort, and to see your race come to an end because of that. It's happened to me but I try my best to know that I'm going to work hard enough to make those cutoff times. So it's a process of maintaining kind of that competitive mindset. So
Absolutely.
I know you kind of have to keep that every minute of the day, basically. So how do you do that? Like, how do you maintain that mindset?
I think so. In bodybuilding, it is a subjective sport, which is probably one of the most unique aspects about it. I am not racing against someone else. So if you beat me time-wise, you win.
Mm-hmm.
In bodybuilding, it is not that. It isn't the most muscular or the most lean person. It is kind of the whole package. And so you have to go in knowing that you could be your very, very best on that day, and you might not even come close to winning.
Mm-hmm.
You could be your best that day and win. But first and foremost, in my sport, we compete against ourselves. So my goal is always to go out, do a show, get feedback from the judges, get feedback from the coach that I work with and wherever I placed, if it's not where I want it to be, okay, why? Mm-hmm. What can I do to improve? Obviously in my sport, a lot of the times that it requires building more muscle or getting better conditioning. And so we take the time to process and do that. But we compete against ourselves first and foremost. Obviously, mm-hmm. there's other people that are going to be on the stage with us or on the path with you. Mm-hmm. And in my sport, we have to rely on the judging panel to decide who actually is going to win versus someone else. But if you are only focused on that external validation from the judges or from seeing who's going to be there or wondering if they're going to beat you, you will always hold yourself back from becoming the best version of yourself. And so staying in your lane, we put our blinders on, especially in prep. Right. A lot of us, we call go quiet, go dark, because we just want to focus on what do I need to do to be better, whether it's PR in the gym because I need to build muscle, or whether it's giving that extra effort on our cardio to do our conditioning or whatever it might be. But it really is within yourself. And with that, the sports really taught me about that being proud of yourself and being proud of like, okay, I did give my all. I did do better this year. Look how far I've come. And, we take progress pictures to align up and see how far you've come every year. And man, sometimes when you don't think you're getting better and you look back, you kind of blow yourself away sometimes. Right. So that's been fun. I've been doing that lately, not necessarily because I need extra motivation right now, but just to kind of take it all in, because I am coming up on 7 years in the sport's a long time. So it's been fun.
Yeah. In running, we call that running your own race.
Yeah.
Because I will say, if you're pushing at the beginning of the race, trying to stay ahead of other people, and you're going beyond what you've prepared for and trained for, you're going to burn out. And if you're so worried about the people around you, you might not be able to bring your best that day because you're comparing yourself to other people, and you're not in the right mindset. You're thinking about other people and not about yourself and your own performance. So very similar to running. So what I wanted to talk about also was, I know when I first started running, I'll say when I first started running ultra marathons, I really struggled. My first one was a 50 miler for some reason. Skip all the other ones. Just go big or go home. Yeah. And so even I put in a ton of training and I read as much as I could, but I still struggled with the confidence factor because there was so much unknown. And, I had so many doubts in my head, like, do you even belong in the sport of ultramarathon running? And, how are you going to do this? It's twice what you've run, before in your life, and just filled with all sorts of stuff. And I remember one day on a training run, I was thinking about this, and then kind of my mind switched over and said, this focus on your doubts and a lack of confidence is not going to get you across the finish line. You have to believe in yourself and believe that this is going to happen. And so I'm assuming that also happens with you. So what would you tell people about maintaining confidence in your sport or whatever you're working on right now?
Yeah, I think, I remember my first show and being in ballet, being a pitcher for softball, all eyes are on you. I was used to being on a stage. I thought, that part's going to be easy. I was a deer in the headlights. The first time I walked on stage, and my brother gave me this great advice, and he said, you're going to walk on stage, you're going to make eye contact with the judge for the first time, and they're going to smile at you, and you're going to smile bigger, and you're going to know in that moment if you ever want to do this again. And I thought, you're crazy, that's silly. But it's very true. It happened, and I was over the moon because it was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And it just took that one little moment of like kind of getting over the hump of, no, I can do this. And my sport, is particularly my division, has evolved very quickly. When I first started, it was much more of a girl on the beach look, and now it really requires a significant amount of muscle. And so there's been doubts at times for myself as well as, do I belong here? Am I cut out for this? As a natural competitor, can I keep up with some of the others that are not? And that's a real thing. And or when you don't place well, man, that takes a lot to say, you know what, I'm going to get back up there and do it again. And ultimately, we're being judged on our physique, and that can be a very triggering thing, a very hard thing to hear. But at the end of the day, it's really just about believing in yourself and setting those goals within your own journey and really checking those miles off. Because I know when I've set a goal, when I accomplish it, it doesn't necessarily matter what some of the other outcomes are. Maybe I didn't place, maybe I got really bad feedback. But if I check that off, then that's like okay, I can pat myself on the back, I did that. And that boosts your confidence as well. And I'm sure with especially with your story and your journey, and I have found this with mine as well, is confidence can come also from knowing you're inspiring people to do their own journeys. And it might not be the same, it might be a different thing, but man, that really feels good when someone's like, man, I see what you're doing, and it inspired me to do this. And it's like, wow, okay. Even just me trying could make a difference for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll find that with running 5Ks or ultra marathons. I know with ultras, some people think, you're weird. I don't know anybody that would want to do. Why would you want to do that? I get that question a lot. And where do you go to the bathroom? That's a very
valid question,
very common one. The bikini category, they're not just up there in a bikini. They're
we have a lot of muscle.
We have a lot of muscle. They're not hanging out on a beach.
No.
So go watch a show. You'll be amazed. So I know goal setting could be entirely a video all in itself. But do you have some pointers about setting attainable goals? Because there might be some people watching that have set their goals for the year and it might not be working out, and so ultimately that could lead to, not meeting those goals. But just some pointers on setting attainable goals, because that's always kind of hard. You want to go for I mean, if you're like me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, and you change a whole bunch of stuff all at once, and it doesn't always work. So any of your tips about attainable goals?
Absolutely. So my goal is very hard, and it's a very big goal, and that is to earn my professional status in my sport. So I'm not just playing for fun here. I'm working towards a very hard thing to do, and I won't go into the details on how hard and that is, but that's been my goal for a long time. And so when I'm working with people or talking with people about setting goals, that's not my only goal. I have checkpoints along the way, and so I like to set kind of stepping stone goals, smaller goals, put time frames around them. I think we've all heard about SMART goals, right? But also, one of the things that I like to do is that I don't just keep those goals to myself. I think it's really important that we have some sort of an accountability pool for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So my friends know what my goals are. My husband knows what my goals are. I write my goals down on a chalkboard in my bathroom because it's there every morning, and I can see what those stepping stone goals are. But I also have my big goal out there in front of me. It has not changed in years. It's still in pink chalk on my chalkboard. But stepping stone goals are ones that we can play around with and adjust when our plan maybe doesn't go like we want it to, or life throws us a curveball, because it's going to. I've had a lot of them thrown my way the past couple of years, and the big goal doesn't change, but we can adjust those other ones. And letting people know that are supporting you how they can help support those changes or support those small goals. It might be that you want to do a couch to 5K and you need someone to just get up and walk with you in the morning on your way to eventually running a marathon. Right. So some of those things, but not being afraid if you have that big goal to share that with other people, because keeping it to yourself is fine, but I think most of us find that people really want to support us, and we have a lot more support than we even think. And when we say it into the world, we're sharing that energy and we're sharing that excitement that we have about something. So smaller goals on your way to a big goal, find an accountability system, and that could be anyone from friends at work to people on Facebook. You know, you might have a running group that you're friends with, or you might have just joined a gym and they have a page, whatever it might be. And then write them down and check in on yourself, that why, remembering your why. Because that should really fuel it. And I think the other thing I would say, and this is really, I know it's a big thing in my sport, is make sure that your goal is for you. Make sure that you're doing what you want to do for you, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that's actually accomplishing it, and you're also the only one working towards it. So there's people that get to support you, but they're not going to run the race with you. They're not going to step on stage with me. So
nobody's going to run 50 miles with me.
making sure that it's something that is truly meaningful to you. And it could be something, I was just talking with someone the other day, they just really want to go back to school. And I thought that that's amazing, because that's something that's personal to you. So those would be my foundation tips and advice for that. And it takes practice. Setting goals for yourself, especially if you're maybe embarking on a new chapter of your life, is sometimes really scary to say it's okay to do something for myself. I know that was kind of my thing with this sport, was I was finally in a place where I could say that. And that was a big deal. That was a really big deal. So
it really does help to let people know what your goals really are. You know, with Bigfoot, I mentioned Bigfoot because that was my biggest race. It was definitely the most challenging. And how many texts would you say we swapped back and forth about Bigfoot?
So many.
And
but it's important.
It is. And even though Megan hasn't run Bigfoot, she's
nor will I.
Actually, there's not a lot of running that goes on. But you know, I could still reach out to her on days where I was like unsure, and just checking in with her about, oh, well, there's this rope climb. I don't know what it's about. And so having her there and my husband there and people to check in with really, really does help. And knowing that they might have to be there if it doesn't work out. I have done a video on handling a DNF. Just did not finish, or maybe not doing your best in a race, and you move on and you grow and you learn. I've had my share of DNFs, and Megan has probably had some shows that didn't go as well as you had wanted or hoped for. And so I always like to talk about how you handle a setback, whether it's in your training. As runners, we get injured and are not able to continue for that race. And so how would you kind of help somebody get over maybe a setback?
Well, this leads me right into, so 2019 was a very hard year. I had an amazing 2018. It was long, and I was such on a high from everything. I wanted to just go right back into competing. And I only took 10 weeks off, which doesn't sound too bad, but really after you've been dieting for 11 months and competing, it was far from enough time, and my body gave me plenty of signals to say, you should really be taking more time. And in my sport, we become very attuned to our bodies and how we feel throughout the day on certain foods. I mean, we're just that tuned in, and I made the decision to push aside all of those signals and say, no, I'm doing this. And I had a show. I went to nationals again to attempt for my pro card, knowing I was nowhere close at my best. I was not in a good mental space. And I knew the moment I walked off stage, I kind of smiled and I said, I'm going to step away for the rest of this year. I did not come out with my best. I didn't have a good placing. I felt like I had let people down who were supporting me, and I announced that I was not going to be competing for the rest of the year, and I was almost brought to tears by the amount of support that I had in how I handled that, and it really made people feel like they could do the same, and it was a challenge. So I've been injured before and had to work through that, and to me that comes with time of learning to say that it's okay to step back. It's okay to reassess, with knowing that you're going to come back and be better.
Right.
So
Yeah, I've definitely had my share of injuries and setbacks. I've had DNFs at races. Sometimes I'll run the first 10 miles of a race and think, this might not work today. And again, you grow from that. You learn. You adjust your plans and your goals, but you keep going, and you don't necessarily look at it. It's not a failure. I never want to use that word failure, because it's not. It's just a setback. It's a bump in your journey.
It's a pause button.
Yeah, really. A pause button. That's a great way to put it. So, so do you have any final thoughts? We're kind of coming to the end, but I know there's probably my viewers that are, again, working on their 2020 goals. Some of you might be runners, some of you may not, and just kind of some final thoughts going into the new year.
I just think if you are one of those people out there who've maybe set a new goal, or maybe you've dusted off an old goal and brought it back to the table, making sure that you are doing it for yourself, and really setting the stage for you to have a successful run at your whatever that goal is. And that it's okay to have a goal for yourself, and to maybe be competing against yourself for it and push yourself. I think we all need a good challenge, and I think sometimes as we get older, it's harder to find those things, especially when it comes to things outside of our work or outside. And embrace it and enjoy it and celebrate the little wins along the way. And like you said, if you have a setback, know that it's just a pause in your journey. It is not the end of your journey. And as long as you are true to yourself and you give yourself time and get right back on it, you're still moving forward. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that we all continue to just move forward, and that means that we're closer to achieving those goals that we have for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you guys knew my bucket list race, this is all is useful for my bucket list. I won't share it yet because you'll all laugh. But anyway,
she'll text me about it later.
Yeah, I'll text you about it later. So this is going to wrap up this video today. But if you want more videos like this, I'm going to be doing it's getting to racing season for me, so more videos of the races I'm running, and I'll probably do a video about the actual races I'm planning for 2020. But if you want more videos like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and also down in the comments below, if there are ideas, videos you want to see, please leave those comments below. If you want to see more of Megan, I mean, we could talk for hours and hours about this stuff.
Or a lot more other things.
Or other things too. So she can talk about her half marathons. But anyway, yes. Please support my channel, and look forward to more videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.